Oh, yeah, the intro text.
Please do.
Hello, welcome to the Hirewell Recruiting Insights podcast. I'm your host, James Hornick, partner at Hirewell. I love the script reading part. This week's topic is laying your marketing foundation. Joining me is special guest, the CEO of Level Agency, author of the newly minted best-selling book, The CEO's Digital Marketing Playbook. Yes, he came here just to hawk his book. And easily the worst student in my freshman year English class at Penn State.
By far. By
Thomas Donohoe.
Good to meet you. Good to see you.
By the way, when did you start going by Thomas? Because that's like a
easy. Good question. Easy answer. I spent my 20s in New York, and being Tom from Pittsburgh didn't really have the panache that all my friends, Enrique from Sao Paulo, and being Tom from Pittsburgh didn't
do it.
Wasn't a hit with the ladies. so we had to fake upgrade, but now I'm back to Tom.
Yeah.
Unless I write books, in which case it's Thomas.
There you go. So getting everyone up to speed, and this kind of dovetails into a little bit into what we want to talk about today, just to give everyone kind of some context here. Tom and I have known each other a long time, and about 2 years ago, you first started writing this book, right?
Yep.
Because I read like the first initial draft copy of it, and I would say it's really one of the things that got me interested in doing more marketing here at Hirewell. So it really kind of put us, set the stage for what we wanted to do. So that's so for today's conversation, I just want to talk about, and I can talk about our experience as well too, because the book is very much about what companies should be doing on their own and what you should be doing to lay the baseline. But to, I guess, talk about yourself just a little bit, give everyone some context.
Sure.
Level Agency, what do you guys do? How'd you start it? What's your background? Just so everyone knows where you're coming from.
I can dovetail into how
the end of the book.
Oddly, our worlds are very, very different. But I don't know if it's like this or like the Voltron image. But your experience with at Hirewell and you professionally with LinkedIn, knowing even more than I did about LinkedIn, and as a digital marketer, that's obviously an incredibly important channel for us. So it was really cool to see another industry actually, or a professional, certainly a knucklehead like you, know more than me. And so my background, I've done what we'll call direct response digital advertising, which is spending money to get customers and clients, mostly in the B2B and what I'll call high value B2C industries and verticals. So stuff that costs a lot of money. So you got on the spectrum, consumer packaged goods, so e-com. You drive people to websites, they put stuff in a shopping cart, things that are lower price points. Then you go to the higher price point consumer goods, so high value B2C, and then B2B. So these two things are where terms like leads come into play. So consumers, you're not going to see an ad for a Porsche and go buy a Porsche online. I mean, you probably would because you're very wealthy. But no, things that get consumer goods, healthcare products, educations, financial services, things that cost a lot of money, and then B2B decisions. Those are not made in 24 hours. They're made in weeks and months and sometimes even years. That's my background. So I started doing that in New York in the 2000s, went back to our lovely neck of the woods. James, we grew up close-ish to each other. I'm from Pittsburgh, went back to Pittsburgh, started an agency in 2010. And much like what I did on the client side, it was spending money to try to get leads for the companies I worked for to turn into qualified sales leads to turn into customers. So I started an agency that did that because I felt that there were a lot of good marketing agencies, certainly in New York, where I grew up professionally. There are a lot of good marketing agencies, but a lot of them are focused on e-commerce, consumer packaged goods. So like the rock stars like Gary Vee, who's a phenomenal human, a lot of the conversations are about building brand and focusing on, again, consumer goods. Well, a lot of people I know don't work for consumer goods companies. They work in service businesses or they work in industries that don't have a shopping cart. Number one. And number two, with all due respect to, like building your brand, my job, if I walked into my boss's office as a marketer or a salesperson or let alone at your level back in the day, and I said, hey, I'm going to build our brand. Give me a few years. Let me build our brand. Let me make some things go viral, build some content. I would be fired. So our job as an agency is to deploy dollars to try to get dollars to turn into leads to turn into customers. We've got about 90 people now. Most are in Pittsburgh. I'm the guy in airplanes, sometimes airplanes that don't fly but just stay there.
So how long is your total delay time today getting there?
I'm 5.25.
Jesus.
I'm feeling fresh right now. I'm feeling mighty fresh.
Just happy to be here.
So that's my background.
Yeah, so it's interesting. It's kind of timely, and I gave a speech about this earlier in the year, and it was actually the thing that got me doing what I'm doing now in terms of video content. Is actually gave a presentation at the Chicago AMA event. That presentation was how digital marketing changed the complexion of the hiring market in marketing in general, and it's also the reason why. So before I started doing marketing for Hirewell, I started Hirewell's marketing recruiting team. This is probably 5 years ago.
Yep.
And there was a big inflection point in the market where a lot of companies that weren't the big consumer well-known brands and weren't the e-commerce companies, so more the B2B type firms, more the mid-markets, places that frankly make a lot of money, but no one's ever heard of them, or it's not something you would ever think of off the top of your head. Those places started investing a lot into digital. And it was really kind of the first, and because of that, all of a sudden we've got like the fat part of the bell curve, like finally adopting something. It changed. 10 years ago, the hiring market, before all that happened, most companies, except for the big name companies, the brands and the e-commerce firms, they just had a marketing manager that took on a general list of skills, and it was important work, obviously.
And they farmed stuff out to some
but it wasn't as now it's like everybody has to have, like, you have to have your SEO team, your paid acquisition team, your email team, even if your CRM, your automation.
Even if you have an agency, you still have to have the subject matter expert.
So many, like way more companies that are in that kind of B2B space and spaces that just didn't exist, like started building out teams like that, and they'd have to hire 10, 20, 30, 40 people or something like that. And it's what gave us the ability to kind of grow out our marketing recruiting practice, because all of a sudden when demand shoots up, all of a sudden there's need for more hiring. Then there's, firms like ours need to start providing more services in those areas. But additionally, a couple years after that, when I first asked you, how did it come up anyway?
Our obviously we've shared a few beverages in years past. And I knew James was in the executive recruitment space, this neck of the woods. I'm a digital marketer. Those things just really don't have overlap. As an example, I think my president, he's got 5 or 6 firms, not like yours, but we're in a different market that doesn't have, I will politely say this, sophistication that some firms, and I'm with love in my heart, some staffing agencies that are, we're not in Chicago, we're in Pittsburgh, which is lovely. That's where I grew up. So I had asked you a question from a hiring standpoint. You dropped some knowledge about LinkedIn, and I can say this. So my responsibility as a digital marketer is to know the places where we can put the right ad for the right person at the right time for a good price. And that's search engines like Google. That's social networks like Facebook and LinkedIn. And typically digital advertisers are handcuffed to those two because they're so good at what they do. People that run agencies like mine, if they're, in my opinion, good, they got to find new places for companies to advertise. Obviously, we work with a ton of B2B companies. Obviously, LinkedIn is that platform where everyone's like, oh, well, LinkedIn's for business, so it should work. Mm-hmm. And I can say that it has been, and I will say, and I was just on an email with this, some of the amazing LinkedIn team that we get to work with sometimes, with love in my heart. They are amazing humans. But LinkedIn, and I would even say this, and I think I've said this with a few cocktails in me, LinkedIn up until about a year ago was an unmitigated like trash can fire in a prison cell. Like it was, you would spend money in that platform and just, again, from an ROI standpoint, from an advertisement standpoint.
You're going to make a lot of friends.
I'm just saying, from an advertisement standpoint, I will put an ad, I'll put an ad in the Goodyear blimp. I don't.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm going to cut off the swears. I don't give a beep about where it is. It's just I care about efficacy, and that's why Google and Facebook were great. This guy dropped some fairly sophisticated LinkedIn knowledge on me from an organic standpoint. So I'm a paid advertiser.
Yeah.
You were talking to me from the things you can do as a business owner that were much more sophisticated. And honestly, because LinkedIn wasn't a good channel to spend money, I wasn't paying attention to it from an organic standpoint.
Yeah.
Right when this guy did this is right when, again, Gary Vaynerchuk and quite a few others, LinkedIn actually does start paying attention to the robustness of the platform. They start adopting not just LinkedIn Live, but a lot of video-heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And it starts both.
I don't think they even had video until 2 years ago.
When we reconnected, I think LinkedIn was getting they were getting their act together from a paid standpoint, and I think from organic, it was now more of a valuable place to have content like this. Yeah. So for a few different reasons, I've enjoyed our conversations, but LinkedIn has been, it's not a home run, again, from a paid standpoint. I think organic, it is a home run. Mm-hmm. It's already home run category. Would you agree?
No doubt. I think it's easily the best category for any kind of organic content, period.
Agreed.
I think, yeah.
Agreed. So. And then from a paid standpoint, it's a distant third, but it's still, I'm thankful it's a third place from a paid advertising standpoint.
Yeah.
So that's how that's a little bit of the background. Turn it to nerd out for a second.
You gave me, when you're first writing your book, which we should probably get into at some point in time here, you gave me an advanced copy of it, and it was still a pretty rough draft.
Yeah,
but it was
the stick figures.
I haven't read the final version. I have to give it full.
But it was
all the stuff that I had been recruiting for 3 years at that point in time. So I understood what it was, but I never had a chance to apply it anywhere, or how would this work with my business. And what I liked about your book is it gave you it triaged what you should be doing internally, what your internal marketing team should be doing in order, what the highest priorities are, and then once you get more advanced, what the next things you look for. So it was very much, it didn't get any of the organic things that we're doing like on LinkedIn, but in terms of setting up a lot of your paid acquisition stuff, if you're a small firm like ours. And I think I watched in one of your many interviews I've seen you on recently. So you're on the TD Ameritrade channel and the...
Did you see?
I don't know how I made the cut here, frankly.
I just talked to... Come on, look at it. I just on the phone with my friends driving in, and I said I have this secret. I have the secret to a boring white guy like me looking good on TV. Dress like Shannon Sharp dresses on ESPN. So you have to wear the biggest, brightest tie that you can possibly find, and the biggest double Windsor you can make, and then you just sound fairly intelligent.
Yeah. So the book. What's the book about?
All right. So the desired outcome is. From a behavior standpoint, I don't want entrepreneurs, small business owners, marketing professionals, and C-level executives, CEOs, CMOs of even companies as big as Hirewell, like 20, 30, 50 employees, which are still pretty big. Mm-hmm. You don't have to hire my agency or agencies like mine. You don't even need someone with, and I think you referenced from an internal staffing standpoint, you can do 60 to 80% of the phase one stuff with a few good employees. Mm-hmm. Now, 10 years ago, let's say 2009. 2009, to your point, you could have one person. She was the jack of all trades marketer, and she'd run a Google Ads campaign and drive people to your homepage. Yeah. That's going to set all of your money on fire. So it is significantly more difficult, which is why I wrote the book. But it's not so difficult, and I'm talking the phase one stuff, like. Mm-hmm. Let's drop some buzzwords. The evergreen lead gen. So every month, every week, it might be 5%, it might be 20%. It's not going to be 100%. It's going to be, let's say, 5%, 30% of your leads a month can be a fairly automated, really, really, really profitable recipe for lead generation. You're using search engine, you're using social networks, you're doing the things in this book. And to your earlier point, yes, you do have to have a larger internal team than you did 10 years ago. So from a staffing standpoint, why Hirewell did well from building a marketing-focused recruitment division. Yeah, you need more than a generalist. You do need someone that is a creative professional. You do need someone who is a paid advertising professional. You do need someone from a content standpoint. So you need like 3 or 4, not 1. But that's cheaper than hiring my firm. I mean, we're really good, but for us to wake up in the mornings, low 5 figures.
I mean, that's the thing that was. I mean, you were the first. You were very honest with me in saying how your industry, and this is probably most industries, but a lot of the firms just frankly rip people off to do work that they should be able to do by themselves.
Yes, but they're also not. It's yes, but there's a lot of bad marketing out there. There's a lot. Here's, for example, so in every other vertical thing the companies do, legal, accounting, sales, and other stuff, you can go to school for it. Mm-hmm. There are classes that teach you how to do the things we did. I mean, and I can tell you definitively, my president, my senior vice president, my executive team, I'm not the most active in the hiring process anymore, but we struggle as digital marketers to hire people because no one goes to school for it.
Yeah.
Nobody goes to school for it. So not only do we need good agencies like Hirewell, but we also struggle in it as a culture, like a business culture, there's too few people who are actually good for this much work.
Yeah.
So guess what happens? So much bad work. How many times have you heard people say, we've tried Google, it doesn't work. We've tried Facebook, it doesn't work. Let me do the whole look at the camera. If you are running a company on Earth, you run a company, and your company sells a service or product, any company between 1 and 500,000 employees, and Google Ads and Facebook are not a profitable customer generation channel for your company, it is not the fault of Google and Facebook. It is being done incorrectly, and that is not surprising. It is par for the course. You are in good company because 9.5 out of 10 companies have also tested these channels, failed because, again, of just a lack of baseline knowledge about how to set up the block and tackling correctly, let alone the more advanced things that we do. Mm-hmm. Trust me, Facebook is for B2B. LinkedIn can be for B2C. Google nearly always works. These are the things. These are the things that happened in 2019. Mm-hmm. Will happen in 2020. The book was trying to, number one, you don't have to hire me or my agency. You can do stuff in-house, number one. Number two, you cannot live with the belief that search engines and social networks are not profitable channels to drive customers for your business. Now, someone behind the camera on the internet, they're going to say, he doesn't know my business. I am in spatula sales. I sell Lamborghini. When I say it doesn't matter, B2B, B2C, and definitely e-commerce. Any vertical, I've worked in probably about 30 different verticals in my agency. And prior to that, I was a hired gun in New York, running around like I'm sure you could guess a knucklehead. I've probably worked in 60 different verticals. I'm talking verticals, not companies, verticals. I've worked for over 200 different firms and have seen money deployed, customers, and money deployed poorly and well. And I'm telling you, I have yet to find any. I'm talking one of my really good friends who's a rock star. He runs a 137-year-old manufacturing company, okay? Mm-hmm. Old school. And then people that are running new VC-funded SaaS platforms in Silicon Valley. I don't care if you're a 150-year-old, 130-year-old manufacturing company or if you're a startup. I don't care. Google and Facebook in particular can generate net new customers, B2C or B2B. And if anyone in your firm, especially a marketing professional, has said, we have tried this, it doesn't work, I give you my word that is incorrect. Now, unlike other professions, you shouldn't have them killed because it is no surprise that I can't tell you how many dollars are wasted because, again, people don't go to school for these things. Yeah. The fundamentals that, yes, I hope are in this book, they're just not easily understood. There's actually very few companies that are doing even the basic stuff correct.
And that's I guess, on the school part, and that's...
Did I swing for the fences too much there?
No, you're good. Okay. The school part is something that's actually driven me a bit crazy because there's no... Maybe now there are some programs, but they're not very good. I can say this because the amount of hiring we've helped with, and it's... I remember you saying the challenge you had is trying to find anybody who already knows AdWords, just the basics.
How's this 2 years ago? 2 years ago? 2 years ago, nobody. I wasn't seeing any undergrad coming out and being like, I've done a keyword build on Google. Yeah, I would. And you guys know much more in terms of finger on the pulse of our schools teaching this stuff. And I know 2 years ago they weren't.
2 years ago they definitely weren't, and I think I've known of a few places creating these programs. I just don't know how good they are yet. Is the thing, and I could go off on a whole rant about the problem we have with higher education and cost and debt and everything else in this country.
We only have 2 hours together.
I know, but when you think about it, because anybody who's good in digital marketing right now did not go to school for it, period. So the fact that it didn't exist. Yeah, the fact that people are racking up this much debt and then they come out of school and they're not even job ready because they don't even know the basics of it drives me absolutely crazy.
I have no problem. I think some of my favorite and best and most awesome coworkers, men and women that absolutely did not go to school for marketing. Mm-hmm. I mean, economics, hard sciences. My number 2 human being that helps run the company, journalism major, Patrick Van Gorder. Seriously, I'll take a quant friendly person with a spidey sense for that number doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
And you can teach them. But the problem is you have to teach them. You can't hire. So unlike your legal department or your accounting department or your sales, do people go to school for sales?
Me?
No,
I went to school for marketing.
Right.
You went to school for finance, so I know.
Let's not talk about that. Let's not talk about that. I'm really deploying that.
Direction.
I'm really deploying that.
Sales,
degree.
is that a major? I don't know.
I was going to make. I don't know how PG we can get. There's a major at Penn State for sales, James. Oh. Yeah. All right. It's not in the classroom, James. Not in the classroom.
All right, stop. So, I guess moving past that, the thing that's been interesting is it was really a good starting point for us, your book I'm talking about, because it gave us an idea of kind of where, some of the basic blocking and tackling, like you mentioned. Yep. But we had to go back. We had to, we realized we weren't even ready for that. We had to actually redo our website because we knew it wasn't even ready for this kind of stuff. If you weren't actually have a site that has relevant content, you're pointing any ads to. So that was a big process for us.
We can walk through some of the block and tackling stuff if you want to. You want to walk through some of the things that you and I walk through for Hirewell?
Sure.
You want to?
Do you want to start with what we did or what you recommended?
I do.
Okay. So
just as an outsider, I am a marketing professional, but as a friend and a partner at this not small firm, this is a good example. Hirewell, excluding the fact that you guys could tap into individual that could do this professionally. So I think you were cheating a bit because you could find people more easily than others to do the work. So he's kind of cheating. But their journey in terms of we'll call it the 101 level, the fundamentals. I think is a good example because it started with a pretty blank slate.
To even before you can even do any kind of paid acquisition, and like you've told me before, if you don't have an actual site with actual relevant content and stuff on, you're just lighting money on fire. There's no point.
A value proposition. If some human wants to look at you and they look at and spend 2 minutes on your site, and there isn't a value proposition.
Yeah,
you're right.
So
correct.
The first thing you do, you have to have that's both a time and monetary commitment to actually making sure you have relevant content on your site. And I think the thing is too, what I realized about content marketing is I would say there's two types of content marketers. So there's your content strategist, or I would consider more of a generalist type role, someone who understands the content realm, understands writing, understands
the company.
Yeah, and all these things. But you still need someone who is a domain expert. You still need someone who, and this has to be someone internally. You have to have people, your company you can't just hire someone. You can hire a great content person, but if you're not actually giving them what they need to, because every industry is different.
To tie into that, we as an agency, we have copywriters on staff. We offer that, charge people for that. No one is the best agency on earth. No one is going to know your company and the answer the questions. Who are you? What do you do? Why should people want it? Why are you better than your competition? The humans to answer those questions does not even have to be a James Hornick partner. It is the men and women who have been with you for a year or two, can be a junior person. Mm-hmm. Some of the best clients we've got that I am happy to not charge them for that content creation is it just people. You have to have someone that really cares and really knows that can answer the question, why you?
Yeah.
And that is absolutely a perfect example where you shouldn't hire. Again, and we offer this as a service. That's a good example. Do it in-house. Mm-hmm. And whether it's my playbook or James's example, that's a good example where you can start. Don't outsource it. That's a very appropriate thing to keep in-house. And I say this as a person that makes money when people outsource stuff.
Well, you need someone who is going to organize your content, write it, all that kind of stuff. But I think no matter what, you have to. Especially, I'm thinking of companies that are tech firms, small growing businesses. Maybe they're doing something that's a little bit different. Maybe they're doing something that's not easily understood. There's no way of them being successful at this if the owners or the people in charge, or the thought leadership, aren't interested in doing this. And the thing is, it will pay off. It's just that it's definitely a time investment. So having that done, once you have like a baseline and a plan for how you can kind of move forward and whatever your content plan is, then you can also pair that with the more paid acquisition strategies and stuff that you talk about in your book more. Ongoing from us, I'm trying to think if there's anything. I just enjoy it. It's just a lot of what's interesting about the content space is that it's always changing. There might be some baseline playbooks of things that work, but you have to always be testing and trying out new things.
If there is one thing that is the thing that the areas of conversation that books like mine will become not just obsolete, it'll be wrong. It'll be like that paragraph is wrong, is when it comes to the manner by which, and we'll say, not the buzzword because it is known outside of marketing, but in marketing we call it the creative. So when we say creative, we do mean words on paper and images and videos. So we call them assets or creative. A creative isn't just this. It isn't just a graphic design. A creative can be it can be used not unilaterally, but for the words on a website, rich media, video, and images. So when I say creative, that's what I'm talking about. So the creative, how you can, it's really basic. It's how you can get the attention of a human being, right? Yeah. And if you're in B2B, it's even harder. I'm not saying that selling shoes is easy. I'm not selling cars or financial services or products are easy. This bank better than another, but I am saying B2B is a little more challenging. There does have to be more of a value proposition. But to your point, there are some tactics in this book which are like, you've got to do these things. Do this on Google. Do this on Facebook. Do this on your website. But in general, if your content, if your creative isn't at least answering the question, why should I buy your thing or use your service? Yeah. If it's not answering that in a moderately compelling way, to your point 5 minutes ago, just take all of your money, take it to the parking lot, set it on fire. I agree with you.
And the biggest, just to give a tangible example of just what we've seen last 6 months. So I think the first video I ever posted was promoting that AMA speaking engagement, just to saying, hey, I'm going to be there, so whatever. And then I did set a challenge to myself. I should just post one video a week and see what happens. Now, the crazy thing is that I thought I was going to run out of ideas after 6 weeks, but
he ran out after 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I stole everyone else's ideas. But if the video on LinkedIn has changed so much, I don't know if you've seen this, but there's been a lot of discussions about this. People who were getting X amount of views 4 months ago are getting half of that now. And I think it's partially, I think they're actually changing how they're counting, but I think it's undeniable that the amount of videos that have flooded the platform in the last 6 months, just posting a video used to stick out just because it might be the only one that showed up on someone's feed.
Correct.
So you could post a video that wasn't even that good, but someone's like, oh my God, a video on LinkedIn, I got to check this out. In 6 months, that went away. Now there's so many videos, it's just it's just noise at this point that if you're not trying to...
So let me give you an example of the insanity that existed 7-8 years ago to heighten the point. And number two, and I'll start from the reverse. What you can do, what can you do to try to solve for that? I'll just give you an example. Or rather, let's go under the edict of just do this much more than the person next to you. What's the old joke I only have to be. I have to stop it. Yeah, right. I only have to be one step faster than the slowest person, not get eaten by a lion. You only have to be the only person, or only 3 of your 10 friends or competitors. If you're gonna shoot a video in your car, maybe don't do that. Maybe, and I know we've got some lights in front of us. And
you definitely shot a video in your car.
I did never. I have never.
You were in an Uber.
I have never. That's actually true.
You did.
That was true. I was trying to act like Gary Vee.
I know all the videos you make because I make fun of you in every single one of them in comments.
So as an example, if there is something that annoys you about other videos that you see, or let's just say videos, other videos that you see on LinkedIn, why are they annoying you? Don't film them in your car. Maybe where the laptops, where the angle's like this, and you're all the laptop's down here, and you can't even raise the laptop.
Yeah.
Go find some books. So I would say, a directive, yes, content. It doesn't. I mean, you've done a lot personally. He's done a lot from a volume standpoint. I feel for business owners and marketing professionals that you can create content and make it just a little better than everybody else. It doesn't have to. You don't have to have $10,000 worth of equipment. Don't do the car video. put your laptop at eye level. I know that sounds crazy, but like, could you look any dumber if you were using a laptop that's on your lap shooting video?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, so that it doesn't have to be the sun, moon, and the stars.
Yeah, we had one of our guys shooting a video, and he actually held his laptop up.
Yes!
It was just like,
I would rather
doing?
you bobble the laptop than
I'm like, why don't you use your cell phone? He's like, I didn't think of that.
Right. So, again, I think there are intermediate steps. It doesn't, again, in my book, there's really advanced whiz-bang stuff, but there's also like the really basic stuff that, again, you can do in-house. And I think from a creative standpoint, it's the same thing. You don't have to have, an $800 Sennheiser mic. Like, but have a little bit of lighting. Like, don't shoot it in, I don't know. I think basic things, make sure the audio is, make it decent. Don't make it great. Make sure the lighting's okay, not great. Stuff like that, I swear. I mean, if anyone right now pulls out your phone and you look on after this is done, if you just scroll through your LinkedIn, and you're going to see a dozen videos that are just, no one gave it even a modicum of care. Just do this much more than the worst person. Yeah, is what I'm saying. You're allowed to be lazy.
Anybody who's not using subtitles at this point just blows my mind.
All right. See, that's an example. Like, you don't. So I would agree with you, but then again, we are in the. You're in the business. I'm in the business. Yeah. I think for people, from a best practice standpoint, you don't have to do best practice. Just don't do worst practice.
Yeah. We've been talking for like a half hour. Can you believe that?
You don't know me yet.
Time flies.
He does.
I know.
That's the dumbest thing you've said all day.
This is the least amount of prep I've ever done for a live broadcast. But I knew with him here, I wouldn't really have to do or say anything.
It feels like 9 in the morning.
It was just gonna kind of go. So
fresh like a daisy, James.
Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to chat about? I don't know. I think we've kind of beaten these topics to death, and
that's good.
We've kind of thrown a lot of people, but I always like to give everyone.
Can I just give two things that people need to be doing?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
2 things.
Here, I'll hold this up one more time.
Please, for any company on earth, please run trade name search on Google. That's when someone Googles the name of your company and another phrase that indicates that it's probably a good customer for you. Do trade name search. Do not rely on SEO. If anyone's trying to sell you SEO services as the first thing you should purchase, you should throw them out of your window. And I say this as someone that offers SEO services, and I have a great love and respect in my heart for good SEO professionals. SEO is not the first thing. You do trust organic. Trust Google to have a good organic rank for your company, but it's cheap, it's incredibly effective, like profitable, crazy profitable, and you can probably do it without hiring someone like me or my agency. So trade name search, every company on earth, every company needs to be doing it. Free, easy to build, crazy effective. Number one. And number two, you don't have to be scared of it. Using social media, LinkedIn has the same thing. LinkedIn or Facebook, what we'll call custom audience targeting. Basically, if you have any leads, if you're in specifically for B2B, service businesses, upload all of your leads in your database into Facebook and or into LinkedIn. Literally just upload the emails. You'll be able to target those individuals. It's called a custom audience targeting in Facebook, or CAT is the campaign. You do not have to be ninja level at Facebook or LinkedIn to do this. It is, trust me, pretty easy. And by the way, both Google and Facebook and LinkedIn's, I haven't really tested it yet. If you don't have a professional graphic design team or a videographer, that's okay. Both Google and Facebook have automated the building a video ad, which is awesome. Like they have free stock photography and stock video. I mean, it's really, really great. What you can do on Google and Facebook for very, very little money. So Google trade name search, Facebook CAT. Every company on earth. And I guarantee, especially for smaller companies, under 100 employees, I'll bet 8 out of 10 of your competitors aren't doing it. Those are 2 things.
There you have it.
I'll tell you what.
Those are 2 takeaways.
Yeah. How's this? If it doesn't work, I'll buy you a beer and I'll Venmo you the price of the book. Actually, James will buy the beer. James will buy you the beer.
Money back guaranteed on the book. You heard it here first. That's all I got for today. I'm gonna butcher this outro text. Thanks for listening to Hirewell's Recruiting Insights podcast. If you like what you heard and want more insights from our recruiting experts or our marketing experts, visit hirewell.com/recruiting-insights, and remember to subscribe to podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube.